These two guys, David Ermold and David Moore, tried to get a marriage license at their local courthouse in Rowan County, Kentucky, what should have been an easy process after the decision in Obergefell v. Hodges 2 months prior, requiring states to issue marriage licenses to gay couples based on the Due Process Clause and Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, ended up being a conundrum after this lady, Kim Davis, the county clerk, refused to issue the license to the two David. Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear even demanded that Kim Davis issue the licenses to the couple, but instead, Davis decided she wouldn't issue any licenses at all. The two Davids, along with another gay couple and two straight couples, took Davis to court with the help of the ACLU, or the American Civil Liberties Union. Acting as plaintiffs in the case, they felt that their civil right to marriage was being violated by Davis's refusal because their right was protected by the 14th Amendment, as set in precedent only 2 months earlier. On the other hand, as the defendant in the case, Kim Davis felt that her religious freedom under the Free Exercise Clause and Establishment Clause of the First Amendment was being violated by the government's requirement that she aid the couple in behavior she considered full of sin. District Court Judge David L. Bunning sided with the plaintiffs and ordered Davis to resume issuing marriage licenses. Instead of following the order she was given after every single appeal failed, she just didn't show up to work anymore. No one's really sure what she thought was going to happen with that since she's a government employee, but this whole situation brings up a lot of new issues in society. Since the decision in Obergefell v. Hodges, the religious polarity in America is becoming more apparent, and the situation in Rowan County became a concrete representation of this growing social gap. The two Davids eventually got married, but this is just one case of many. As the gap widens, more legal situations, unique in that both sides of the courtroom can find a constitutional basis, will rise.
In a recent New York Times article titled "Poll Shows Hillary Clinton is Seen as More Likely Than Bernie Sanders to Be Effective," a survey claimed that Democratic voters believe that Clinton would be a more competent candidate and possible president. The poll showed that voters thought that Hillary would be able to handle an international crisis, bring about real change in the way things are done in Washington, and make the right decisions about the economy. As both Sanders and Clinton are incumbents, many voters are using retrospective voting and looking at their past beliefs, issues, and policies. This is one of Clinton's downfalls, as she is known for changing her beliefs depending on the circumstances, while Sanders is much more steadfast in his. Clinton's more moderate views line up with the Democratic Party's platform and may get more of the Democratic coalition, or an alliance of voters to support the Democratic Party, including African Americans, the youth, and the poor. However, as more passionate, partisan, and extreme voters vote in the primaries and caucuses, there's a chance that Sanders' more extreme views will aid him in the primary elections.
Starting on November 30th, world leaders met in France to begin formulating a joint effort between countries to counteract global climate change. These talks will last for 2 weeks, and about 30,000 diplomats from across the globe are attending. There, President Obama will be acting as the chief diplomat for the United States, speaking to an international audience on behalf of the American people. Other agreements, like the one being made in Paris, have failed in the past due to disapproval in Congress, but the president still has the option to enforce the pact through an executive agreement. Should the measures agreed upon at the conference receive wide public support, President Obama may claim a mandate, forcing the legislature to ratify the pact. Meanwhile, back home, Congress was up to its usual.
Before President Obama left for the Paris climate talks, the Senate had already voted to block any climate regulations he would bring back. Although the House has yet to pass any resolutions, the Senate has already passed 2 with a plurality of votes in order to try and create new regulations before the president can bring an agreement back from Paris. During the voting, 3 Democrats acted as delegates and voted for the resolution in support of their constituents instead of following the party. 3 Republicans also broke from their party to vote against the Senate's resolution and instead backed the new environmental regulations. Although the Senate has already passed 2 resolutions, President Obama has already promised to veto them once they reach his desk. Because education is not an enumerated power of the national government, it was reserved to the states under the 10th Amendment. The Elementary and Secondary Education Act, passed under the Johnson administration in 1965, took education from only state control to both state and national government control. The ESEA's primary purpose was creating more than 50 categorical grants so that the states could improve specific areas in their education system. However, during Bush's administration, the ESEA was reauthorized and renamed as the No Child Left Behind Act. The NCLB created unfunded mandates in the form of stricter benchmark requirements. Under the Obama administration, Congress is currently in the process of renewing the ESEA. Both the House and the Senate have passed new versions, but will need to meet in a conference committee before it can be sent to the President to be passed in the coming months.
Wait a second, don't you have to go through Congress at some point?
Oh, that's adorable. You still think that's how government works.